Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Fit for Function podcast. Today we are doing a bit of a Q&A. Bex and I put out on our social media profiles asking for your fitness, wellness, lifestyle questions. And what was really interesting is that the majority, I'd say 60% plus, were what we would consider to be kind of beginner questions,
hmm
or certainly the type of questions that we feel that we see from people that have been on their fitness journey maybe less than a year. So we've cherry picked a few that we like. We've cherry picked a few that we feel um, will kind of help many people, add
Yeah,
value to a lot of people.
yeah.
Um, so we're going to run through them and we'll see how far we get. So it could be a long episode, could be a short one. We don't know yet. Let's just see. So do
Let's
you want
get
to start? Let's get popping.
Yeah, I actually have a question. I actually had a question that was, it's not, because some of mine aren't beginner. Yours, I would say the questions that you received were a bit more beginner, just for the type of people that were asking on my platform. One question I got was how to juggle being a parent and also having the time to exercise without feeling guilty. I thought this was a really, really good question. And I think for me, what stays in the forefront of my mind whenever I prioritize training, which we both do, and I make sure you've got it. I mean, it's a bit different for me because I have to go, I do go to the
Mhm.
studio, but like I always make sure you have your time too. You are the better version of yourself. I'm not saying you personally, I'm using
I
that
am.
generically, but you are, like if you are a better, you're a better person. I feel like you're more present as a parent. When you don't work out, your mental health can take quite a bit of a decline, and therefore that impacts on you being a parent as well, how your mood, you have, I feel like, not you personally again, but you can have a shorter fuse. You're in a bad headspace, you get irritated quicker, your frame of mind on things are a little bit different. So I think prioritizing exercise is um incredibly beneficial and important, being a parent, to be the best parent that you can be.
I totally agree. I think that's an amazing question. I think that's an amazing question. Um, and I'm in the same school of thought as you that in order for me to be the very best dad, the very best husband, the very best businessman, the very best friend, um, I need to be doing the exercise.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's if you want me to be, let's look at all the things you kind of need to be as a parent, right? You want me to be balanced and measured and happy and funny and playful, um, you know, to not have a short fuse. These are all the things that are gonna, for me, come from exercise. So
On that, I was thinking this the other day. I think we're really, really lucky because I think if you are in a relationship where you want to work out and your partner doesn't, and then therefore doesn't understand the sacrifice and commitment that comes with working out, I think that can take a little bit of a toll. But like for me, when I'm planning out my week, if I've got a busy weekend coming up, like I have
mm,
this week, so I'm out all weekend for a photo shoot, which means the parenting duty to splitting and making sure you can get your workout is hindered because I'm out the door early. I will put measures in place.
mhm,
Like I've already liaised with my sister yesterday that she's going to have Roman on Saturday for a couple of hours so you can
yeah,
go and have time to go to the gym, because I know how important that is. And I think having that communication with your partner as well, that is, well, for us it's a non-negotiable, right? So
excuse me, yeah,
having
absolutely.
that conversation, it's a non-negotiable. And also I like that Roman sees that I go to the gym, or like he sees me in my workout clothes, or so he knows where I've been, because he'll come to learn the discipline that comes with that.
I totally agree. If you want me to be around and be moody and irritable and
Grumpy.
grumpy and fidgety and maybe a bit short tempered, then yeah, but if you want, let me out of the house for a couple of hours. Let me go and train. You pick up the slack. When it comes to the parenting and vice versa.
Mhm.
And it's much more harmonious. On the parenting thing, I have been this quote has been rattling around my head non-stop since I've heard it, particularly because um, Roman is so much like us in so many ways. Like we see so many things in him where we're like, that was you, or that was you, or that. And the fact that he's a spitting image of me when I was his age. at some point in his life, someone's going to say to him, "You're just like your mum," or "You're just like your dad." And I want him to say, "Thank you,"
Mm,
you know?
mm.
So that really hit me quite hard when I heard that.
Something else I just want to quickly add to that before we move on to another question. I just want to reassure you about feeling guilty. Like, becoming a mum or becoming a dad, that doesn't become your identity.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. You are still you.
Your soul identity.
Your soul
Because I'm
identity.
super proud to be a dad. I love it.
I love being a mum.
But I also want to be a businessman and a martial artist
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
a good friend and a great husband. And do you know what I mean? Like, so
I'm not just here to be Roman's mum.
Yeah.
I have, like you say, I have a business. I'm a coach in person and online. I need to show up for people, you know, and for me to be able to achieve all the things that I want to achieve and be a good mum, which I feel like I can hold my hands up every day.
you're a great mum.
Every day and go to bed and be like, yeah, you know, that comes down to all of that, making time for that. So anyway,
That's an amazing question. Whoever asked that, that's awesome. Good on you.
yeah. So don't feel guilty. You are your own person. You're entitled to your time, and it will, in the long run, make you a better mum or a dad
Hell yeah.
because you'll be able to show up. Anyways,
Yeah.
do you want me to
love
move on
that.
to another question, or you want to move on to one of your questions? I've got a quick question.
Go on then, because all of these are quite relatively entry level, and there was a reason I cherry picked these because I think they flow nicely. So let's hit that one that you've got in your hand there, because I can partly read it, and it's quite cool.
Do you use electrolytes every day or only when you train? Better powder or tablet? So, quick fire. I like powder, but that's because it's the only one that I'm taking, and I haven't deviated from bulk because I'm really happy with what's in it. That's just for me, and that doesn't really cover the tablet or powder form. But
When they say tablet, I assume they mean like the effervescent tablet that's
be
dissolved.
careful with your hand movements, Rob.
Sorry, yeah, we got a very
Trackable
sensitive camera.
Yeah, the ones that just dissolve, because you can
Yeah,
get them
yeah,
like
yeah.
have you seen them like in the tablet aisle?
Yeah. Either. I don't care how you take it. I care what's in it,
Absolutely.
which is why we love bulk.
Yeah.
Potassium, magnesium, sodium.
But yes, I take it every day, regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless of if I train or not, I take it.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Do you want a quick fire on your questions?
Yeah, and then we'll go back and forth if you want.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This one I really like, right? Because it's super simple, and you've gone in with a couple of quite chewy questions there.
Chewy.
Yeah, like somebody to get your teeth into, whereas this one's quite linear. How many times a week should I be training as a newbie in the gym?
There is no set number of days that you should be training. I think it should be in line with your schedule, what you can commit to, and also your experience. So like, you're brand new, right? So just try and get in one day. And if you can get in 2 days, fantastic. And if you can get in 3, kudos. But there's no set days. I think looking in line with like what we try and aim for in terms of how many days across the week you want to be working out. I mean, you'd love to get to a point where you're working out maybe 4 or 5 times a week, right? That comes with experience. So start with 1 to 2 a week and build from there, would be my answer.
I concur. Once a week. If you're starting out, if you're proper new.
With that though, like if you have someone that really has that gym bug that wants to go and they're like, oh, I want to get in, and we're saying go once a week, I do understand from the flip side where someone's motivation is so high that they want to go.
So once a week, ... Once a week, just go to the gym, pick your day, go to the gym, work out, see how you feel. And I use this analogy about a lot of things, but fitness is very much like this, right? So this is a fucking crazy analogy, but I think it will resonate. You remember, I don't know, like, I've never seen them since, but when we were kids, like a lot of the toys we would get for Christmas, you had to have this like big square thick battery. You know where I'm going with this?
No.
It was like a battery. It was about 2 inches long and maybe 1 inch wide, and it was square. And you could, and I don't know why we did this as kids, but you would lick the end and you'd get like a little jolt. No?
No.
Okay, I'm sure this will resonate. But you'd kind of lick it, get a little jolt, and you'd be like, oh my God, it was fucking horrible. And then something in your brain's like, lick it again. And you do it again. It's, so maybe that analogy is is completely lost on people. But what will happen? You'll go to the gym and you'll be like, your body will be like, that was fucking great. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. So go once, see how you feel. You're going to be a little bit sore if you're new.
Give
and
your
then,
body that recovery time as well, right?
and then if it becomes two, the most important thing, right, that people overlook when it comes to starting is all you're trying to do in the first instance is build some structure and routine, build some pattern. So if you go 4 times in the first week, you smash your body to bits to the point where you can't sit on the toilet without going, then you're not going to want to go back. So microdose the gym
Definitely. I think
until you're ready to hit it harder.
Start with one day, and if your body feels good after a day recovery, go again. But I would say just don't overwhelm yourself. You know, try and get in 1 to 2 days. Next question. I think we should fire through these.
Okay. This one was really cool. I'll give you the short. I won't read the whole question because there was a lot of kind of intro to it. But essentially, they were saying like information when it comes to kind of the nutritional side of things online is a bit of it's a bit overwhelming. So in our view, how many grams of protein should one be consuming?
Oh, I think 1 pound per gram of body weight.
Other way around.
Yeah, as soon as I said that, I knew that was 1 gram per pound of body weight. Is that right? Way around?
Yeah, that's optimal.
What did I say? 1 pound per gram?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So because the RDA recommended daily allowance is 0.6 grams, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then loads of things that you see in the fitness injury tend to be from 0.82 to 1, and then maybe 1.2 grams per pound of body weight, depending on how athletic you are and what you're sort of like, you know, like athletes would be looking at 1.2, for example, maybe a little bit more. But I think as a great rule of thumb, 1 gram per pound. So if you take your weight, put it into pounds, you're 140 pounds, then you should be aiming for 140 grams of protein. If you are currently 170 pounds and your goal weight would be maybe 145 or 150, then take the goal weight. Don't take
Interesting.
what you are now.
Okay.
You take your goal weight.
Yeah. Okay. That gets a little bit. Then it gets into kind of more of a macro thing, doesn't it? But I agree with you. Like Beck said, there's some stuff that's come out maybe in the last few years saying that actually like 0.5 gram per pound of body weight is
sufficient.
So I think that's, look, if you can get a gram of protein per pound of body weight, amazing. It's hard, especially when you are starting out. It's hard.
For sure.
Like to the point where Bex and I, when we onboard new clients, we kind of say, look, we don't really expect you to hit your macros for 6 weeks. We want you to try, so don't be lazy, but we're not expecting that because it's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard for, firstly, just to calculate, and you're going to get used to the numbers and you're going to overshoot, you're going to undershoot. But also just from a pure digestion standpoint, like it can be quite
if you haven't
overwhelming.
started taking protein yet, you have to get over that as well, don't you? In terms of like, maybe not saying getting over it, but you have to figure it out what feels good for you. But I think if you are brand new and you haven't taken protein before, or not really aware of your protein, then I think a really good starting point is aim for 30 grams per meal or 25 to 30 grams per meal, because I think so many people are like, I'm eating plenty of protein. And even if you had 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, that doesn't even get you close to 100. Well, it does, sorry. It gets you close to 100, but doesn't get you over the 100 mark.
Yeah. My big thing that I always tell people is, as a minimum, just while you're starting out, just while you're kind of getting your groove, nothing less than 0.5 gram per pound. Nothing less. I don't care what you got to do. As a minimum, consume half your body weight in pounds, in grams.
Yeah, I quite like to use 100 grams of protein as a bit of a...
Yes.
You know, try and get to at least 100, because that is about 25 to 30 per meal, and then maybe a little bit more with some snacks as a baseline, and then you can build on it from there.
Yeah,
I think so. 100 grams is a really good, well-rounded number to look for, especially if you're like, if you're tracking in MyFitnessPal, and you can then see the overall number.
Yeah,
that would be my take on that.
Cool.
Next question, please, sir.
What is better, cardio or weights? Now,
Ooh.
this is a super ambiguous question, and the reason I cherry picked it is so you and I can actually deep dive, because the question literally, like verbatim, was what is better, cardio or weights?
Wait, or nothing like specific goal?
No. So I really liked that it was just, I liked that the question was so broad that you and I can run down a few avenues. So, what's better, cardio or weights? Both. Both is the answer. They kind of do different things in very broad sense, right? Let's not get super deep and bogged down in the exercise science piece, but they kind of, the way I look at it, again, very, very broad strokes, but we're kind of giving a beginner's guide and we don't want to overwhelm. Cardio for your lungs and your heart. Weights for your bones, your muscles, your joints, your tendons. That's kind of the best way to look at it. So it's called cardio because it's cardiovascular exercise. It's going to improve your heart health and your lung health, your blood flow. So very, very important in terms of longevity. Cardio's kind of got lost in the modern world of fitness because fitness is now not fitness at all. Fitness has become about aesthetics. It's become about how you look, not how fit you are, which is why we called the podcast Fit for Function.
Yeah.
Because you should be fit for your function, whatever that function is. Everybody should be doing cardio of some kind. Yes, it's going to impact your gains. Yes, it's probably going to limit the amount of muscle you can pack on to a degree, but everybody should be doing, I think, as a minimum, a good amount of zone 2 cardio, that steady state cardio. And I think you should be sprinting once, twice a week, not just for your overall health, because it has great benefits for your body. But I like to know that I've got full clip capacity in me should I need it. God forbid I ever need it. We've joked on the podcast before about I catastrophize things, but if it was a case of I had to get to my son before he did something stupid or whatever it might be, I need to know that I can absolutely full clip sprint without worrying about blowing a hamstring. Just very quickly then, I'll just touch on weights. Weight's going to make you strong. Training weight's going to make you strong. They're going to build muscle mass. They're going to increase bone density. They're going to make you a bit more resilient, a bit tougher, which, again, as you age, will be really beneficial. Again, we've joked on the podcast about there comes a point in your life where you go from falling over to having a fall, and your weight training, your resistance training is going to determine if and how quickly you're able to get up and recover.
Nicely said.
Any more on that one?
I think if you had the option, I would always say weight train, just for the benefits of bone density, longevity, muscle mass that's required as you age. So for the long term, weight training would always be my option. Maybe sprinkling in a little bit of sprint training and cardio alongside if you, like you say, maybe for a bit of VO2 max definitely. I think people get really hit up on like when they go to the gym of having like a cardio day. They don't need to do a cardio day.
Again, I think it depends.
Actually, you're totally right. It's all relevant on you and your goals and what you want to achieve and what you want your outcome to be. So
if we're talking about just
hard.
Pure fitness and pure health, you probably do. However, this is where it gets fun. You can absolutely get an unbelievable cardio workout doing weights.
Yeah, if you did like a HIIT or an EMOM.
A HIIT, an EMOM, a circuit style.
I did a 10-minute EMOM on Thursday, and we were trashed. Like heart rates through the roof. Like basically did like a 10
breathing rate through the roof.
Did like a 10-minute sprint. So, I think it's all relevant to your goals and what you want to do. But I think some people initially go straight to cardio for fat loss. And again, that's a completely different minefield, and I don't want to get down. That's not the question. But
then we're getting specific. Yeah, let's touch on that on another episode because I think that's interesting. But
okay.
But yeah, that's something for another time. Have you got one?
Yeah. How many exercises per workout should I do?
again, like there's nuance, right? So there's going to be a lot of maybes and not a lot of definitelys in this podcast. I like to work on 4 or 5 main exercises and possibly some accessory stuff.
I was going to say 6 or 7, interestingly.
But again, I think it comes down to, I don't disagree, by the way. I think it comes down to what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, this is where it gets really, really hard. But let's say you're full body training. I think you pick an exercise for each. So chest, back, shoulders, legs, maybe a bit of a hip hinge type of movement, a core movement.
Yeah.
You know, if you were adding in a sprint in that exercise, you know, you're looking at sort of like maybe 5, 6 exercises. But it all goes down to how much time you've got too.
It does. And then you decide, am I going to superset these? So a superset is when you do one exercise and immediately with no break, you step into the other exercise. Am I going to run it as a tri-set or a giant set, which is when you do 3 or more back to back and it becomes almost like a mini circuit. But as Bex said, I think if you're training full body, which I encourage most people to do,
Yeah.
particularly as a beginner, I just think it's the easiest isn't the right word, but for this, we'll use the term easiest. The easiest route to overall fitness is to train full body. And like Beck said, you want to really a vertical push and a horizontal push. So a vertical pusher overhead for your shoulders, horizontal for your chest, a pull for your back, a leg exercise, a hip hinge, and a core exercise, and you're probably set. So yeah, good question. Like that.
Yeah. Have you got one?
Yeah, I like this one. This was cool. How do I stay motivated?
I've had one that was similar too. Motivation. I actually spoke about this today with a client too.
Go on.
Motivation and wait, what was the question?
How do I stay motivated?
How do I stay motivated? Cool. But I was going to go in the difference to I was going to go into the difference between motivation and discipline, and that's why I wanted to spot check the question if discipline was in the question. Motivation exists, but for a short period of time. I see motivation as an emotion. So when you have really high motivation for something, it normally is driven from an emotional response.
Okay.
And that will only last. An emotional response only lasts for a certain amount of time. And once that fizzles out, if you don't have the discipline in place from building the small habits and stuff that you have spent maybe a few weeks building, months building, that the motivation isn't there to drive you. You might have more short bursts of motivation because again, that's coming from an emotional response and you're being sort of like triggered by something. Maybe I don't know. I'm going to use my line of work as an example. But say you'll go into the gym and then you might have a week of losing a bit of motivation, and then you go to pole and you get a trick that you've really been working on. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my god, it feels so easy. Like I just did that trick and I did it on both sides. Then the emotion has like reignited the motivation again.
Yeah.
So it does work. The motivation is there, but it's like it's an emotional response. You can't really depend on it.
Now, on the flip side of that, you've got demotivation, right? To be demotivated. Off the opposite. So you're saying you go in, you get a trick, you feel fucking pumped up. And this happens in jiu-jitsu all the time. Like you've had your caffeine, you've had your pre-workout. I'm driving to the gym. I've got gangster rap that I'm far too white to listen to, pumping in the car because I'm going to smash everybody. And then I just go and get my ass handed to me all afternoon on the mats. And you drive home thinking, fuck this. And all of a sudden all the motivation you came with has just vanished. And you can carry that into the next session really easily. So yeah, it's a double-sided coin, isn't it? Like you can get really pumped up and motivated off the back of something positive, and then on the flip side, you have a stinker of a training session, and you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, but again, that's an emotional response, right?
Totally is, yeah.
So, because the difference between motivation and whether you're motivated or demotivated, let's say you go to the jiu-jitsu and you've had a really fucking shit session, you're feeling demotivated, you're feeling a bit like, bit down in the dumps from such a shit session. You don't come home and then eat shit. You come home, You have your lunch that you have every single day. You have your snack that you have every single day. You drink your water, you rehydrate, your routine continues.
Mm.
And that underpins the motivation. And like, even with my training sessions and getting stronger and seeing progressions in weight, like, sometimes I'll get really like, oh yeah, pumped up, but the discipline and the habits underpin that. So that's what you should always be working on. Harness the motivation, be aware that you're feeling motivated, and be aware that it's a feeling that is going to expire.
That's awesome. And that's 100% going to be an Instagram clip. No, I'm with you. The older I've got, actually, the less interested I've become in how good my sessions are. They still feel great when they're great, and you still feel a bit shit when they're shit. But for me now, I'm so used to just doing it that I just don't. And again, just quickly to touch on the jiu-jitsu thing, it was a bit of a fake kind of scenario, really, because many people that have been training jiu-jitsu for a little while know that those terrible sessions when you get smashed are crazy valuable. Without doubt, that's the thing that I say it all the time. The thing that got me from being kind of a 3-4 stripe white belt to a blue belt was I spent like 6 months training with straight killers that were like blue, purple, browns, black belts, and 6 months of just getting smashed. I didn't tap anybody for 6 months in that class. And that's the thing, actually, I just got better and better and better because iron sharpens iron, and that, pressure makes diamonds and all the other cheesy cliches you want to make. So, but anyway, that's irrelevant. When I read this question, I actually had an audible response to it. I said it to myself. It said, how do I stay motivated? And I swear to God, I said this out loud. You don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. You do it anyway. You do it tired. You do it sore. You do it, when you're happy, when you're sad, rain or shine. You just do it. You go through the motions. One of my favorite quotes for stuff like this, and I say it to my training partners all the time. Just go and have a shit session if that's all you've got in the tank.
Yeah.
If you've only got 25% to give today, go and give 100% of that 25%, because not going is not going. And what's the saying? 100% of fuck all is still fuck all. So I'd rather go and give 10, 20, 30% of what I've got and put something in the bank than not go at all. So
yeah, even if that's like a light session.
Yeah, just go through the motions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to add on that, and I can't remember what it was, what you just said. We spoke about this before as well, right? The motivation is normally underpinned by a why. So figure out your why. If you've got, like, let's say I've got a wedding on the mind because we've been talking a lot of weddings in the family.
Yeah, wedding talk at the moment.
If you're motivated to maybe lose some weight because you're getting married, that is driving your why. So remembering that. So when you're not motivated, you remember, like, I know a lot of people that will have like pictures or, use motivation, maybe little sticky notes around the house to yourself, or, whatever it might be. Just remember your why. That's what I think with that. I've got a really, really good question.
Sure.
And I actually come across this quite a lot of my clients because I'm like, what are you doing? Listen to your body. How sore is too sore?
Huh.
This is quite difficult because I can't tell you. You have to know this yourself.
Yep.
But if you've done a session and you are sore to the point where you can't really use your muscles properly in terms of, like, let's say my biceps are really, really sore, and I don't want to trigger the camera.
I know.
And
like this.
and it hurts for me to extend my arm out and my biceps pulling.
Yeah.
Is it a good idea for me to train biceps or train anything that uses my biceps? Probably not. Same with the hamstrings. I mean, it's a bit different because sometimes you might get DOMs a little bit, but if you can't sit down on the toilet, and that always used to be such a good marker of whether or not you've had a good session. Like,
Yes.
if you've got DOMs to that degree, like, something's going wrong. You're overtraining in some capacity. In my eyes, you should not. Like, a little bit of soreness is good. Like, a little bit of, like, oh, I felt where I used my lats, or I could feel where I used my hamstrings or my hip flexors. But being to the point where you physically can't move without being in muscular pain, that is That's not where we want you to be. And also, if you are in that level of discomfort, it's discomfort, then take a rest day and like
Yeah.
maybe do some active rest, like maybe hit your 10K steps, which you should be doing anyway, but make sure you're hitting your 10K steps and do a bit of stretching. Or go to the gym and do foam rolling and mobility and maybe do sometimes I've found like an animal flow on YouTube and just followed an animal flow or a
Yeah.
yoga flow
Yeah.
or, dial back your session. Only you can know that. But if you put yourself through another session when being that sore and having DOMS to that degree is your body's way of saying the muscles have torn,
Yeah.
because the muscles break down when you work out anyway, and they've broken, they need a minute. And then you're going to go work out on top of that. And if you're not eating enough and getting enough protein, you're just not aiding recovery in any way, and you're just exposing yourself out to injury. So this is a little bit difficult for me to answer. But if you are sore, you shouldn't be training.
Yeah. I when I was very, very early on in my fitness career, there was a PT, and it turns out he was wise beyond his years in terms of like the stuff he would say back then, and we're going back a long fucking time. We're probably going back somewhere in the realm of about 17-ish years, maybe a bit longer. So much of the stuff he was saying back then, which was quite kind of contrary to what people are saying now, has come to light, and he was brilliant. But he gave me this term once, which I really liked. He basically said, "Are you sore or are you injured?" And I really like that. Like, how sore should you be depends on what you're training for. If you are, let's say you're an athlete of whatever kind, sport-specific training, rugby, football, athletics, martial arts, aerial acrobatics, it doesn't matter. You probably really shouldn't be very sore at all, because what you want to do is elicit enough of a response and enough stimuli in the muscles to kind of provoke the reaction you want, which might be muscle growth, it might be strength development, it might be mobility, whatever it is. But then you need to kind of be able to do your sport the day after, or like Beck said, there's no point in her trashing her biceps to the point where she can't grip anymore, because she's going to fall off the apparatus, she's going to fall off the pole or out the hoop, and she's going to wind up in A&E. And it's so.
Yeah, you just don't want to leave your body exposed. I think you got to think about the long term.
Yeah, but then like bodybuilders they're seeking that, much less so now, interestingly enough. So the school of thought around bodybuilding used to be that you train every muscle group once a week, you destroy it to the point where it kind of recovers just in time for the session next week. But even bodybuilders are saying, no, it's now a case of creating enough stimulus in the muscle where you want to try and hit the muscle group twice a week, because once isn't enough. So
interesting, is that right?
Yeah, you don't want to be destroying the muscle too much, because you're training chest on Monday, you're going to hit it again Thursday. So
that's really interesting.
It really does seem that the whole DOMS myth, delayed onset muscle soreness, is something that seems to be kind of not really very well thought of anymore.
Love that.
It would appear.
Love that.
But yeah, good question. Is it normal to be sore after exercise? Someone asked. So,
do women get bulky from lifting?
Wow.
Somebody spoke to me about this on a consultation call the other day, and if they were happen to listen, they'll probably be like, "That was me." But she said to me, "I want to get toned and I want to build muscle, but I don't really want my arms to grow anymore."
It's hard.
And I was like, "Honey, the sport that we do, you have to accept
your arms are going to grow.
That is probably what's going to happen." Now, no, listen, on the face of it, you aren't going to get bulky from lifting weights. Christ, in order for you to get bulky, the amount of calories that you'd have to consume plus training, it's way in excess of what you would be doing. So why are you?
No, sorry.
Like you're going to disagree?
I wasn't going to disagree, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently too. Will women get bulky from training? again, depends. If you go into a big calorie surplus and you start bodybuilding and you really take your rest and your nutrition and your sleep and your supplementation really seriously, then yeah.
The
Yeah.
chances are, though, the chances are of that happening, if you're in that stage, you're probably working with a coach.
Yeah, maybe. But like, I'm just talking fundamentally. Yes, it can happen because bulkiness, so the bulk, the cut, all that stuff is it's just calories in, calories out. It's as simple as that, really. It's, do you have a surplus of calories after your day of exercise and work or not? So fundamentally, yes. However, what I would say on the matter is, firstly, it's generally a lot harder for women to pack on muscle than men. There's a number of reasons for that, but we won't dive into those. But generally, as a broad rule of thumb, it's harder for women to put muscle on.
You'd have to be consuming a lot too.
You'd have to be consuming a lot. Yeah.
Like even with a surplus, like, you know, for a lot of women, they probably aren't hitting their maintenance alone.
Yes.
So to just as a, I'm just sort of reiterating for people that might be listening that might be like, oh, mate, I might actually get bulky. The chances are you're not. Like you can get bulky if that's your end goal, and there's a way in which you would there is a way in which you would do that with eating in excess of your maintenance calories, which tend to look like maybe 2,500 plus up to 3,000, maybe 3,500 calories a day. And by the way, of the right food. So there's loads of factors that come into it. And the chances are that if you're getting into the gym and you're being a little bit more conscious about what you're eating, maybe reducing down your sugar, reducing down the chocolate, reducing down the alcohol, the chances are you're not even anywhere near close.
Yeah, and exactly, to counter my own point, I was just kind of playing devil's advocate, saying, yeah, you can get bulky for sure, because it's just a principle of maths. However, it's really fucking hard to bulk up. It's just really hard. Like, I eat, I'm 6 foot, I'm 85-ish kg. I'm eating somewhere in the 3,500 calories a day region. I'm in the gym lifting weights 3 times a week. I'm on the jiu-jitsu mats 3 times a week. And I look like this. I'm not a bulky guy. So it's incredibly hard to do so. So yeah, just don't worry about it. The benefits that you'll get from just lifting weights, you will tone up, which is just increasing muscle mass and reducing body fat. That's all toning is. By the time you start by the time you even get close to getting bulky, you'll be a seasoned lifter.
Yeah.
And by that point, you'll be able to adjust your calories, adjust your training. But if we're talking about a beginner, are you going to walk into the gym and get bulky? If it was that easy, I'd be fucking massive, because I've been lifting weights for 25 years. And no, I'm not. I'm not a big guy. So it's a lot harder than you think. That being said, if someone's asking you that question, they're looking at your physique where you have gained some significant muscle mass. I think we just need to be respectful of the sport that you do. It's so closely aligned to gymnastics, so closely aligned that it almost is a gymnastic pursuit.
And calisthenics.
Which all kind of fall into the same bell curve, I think. So yeah, like, you're going to build a certain physique based on that sport.
Well, if you're lifting, let's say like me, I'm in the gym, like a gym session, although I do 2 kbs in a gym session a week, right?
Yeah.
I don't fuck around with that weight either. Like, I'm not just going in and lifting light. Like, I'm lifting heavy.
Yeah, you're strength training.
I'm strength training. So you pair that with then body weight on the pole, calisthenic style training, which is predominantly upper.
Yeah.
My arms are gonna grow.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're right. I have got a little bit. My arms have got a bit bigger. But if I want to be able to perform to the level that I am and be able to achieve all the stuff that I'm doing, I need that.
But if you look at your fitness journey,
yeah,
that's only really come in the last maybe 2 to 3-ish years.
What, in terms of my physique where it is now? 100%.
You went on a 8-ish, 5 to 7 year stretch where you were training really, really, really hard, still eating well, doing all the good stuff, and you didn't have a physique like you've got now.
No.
So that's the point I was making about you'll be a seasoned lifter by the time you need to worry about it.
Yeah.
By the time Beck started to pack on the muscle mass she has now, she'd been training a long time. And now she can make decisions on, I'm just going to adjust my calories here. I'm just going to do this here. I'm going to increase my weight. I'm going to back off. I'm just not going to train this as much. So by the time you even get to worrying about that point,
You'll be right into
you'll
it.
really know your shit. So I wouldn't worry about it as a beginner.
Yeah.
That was a cool question though.
Yeah. Should we do one more question?
Go on
Do you
then.
want to do it? Or do you want one from me?
Go on then. What have you got? I've got one, but I'd like to hear what you've got.
What was yours about?
It's about it's similar to motivation, actually, but we kind of covered it when we talked about going in and just giving 25%.
Okay. Mine was about how many sessions should I do a week around my sport, which is really interesting. And I think,
Do you know what sport that person was doing? It was a polar.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool,
Sorry,
cool, cool.
polar aerialist. And I always say the same to those clients. The same with you at BJJ, of anyone that you speak to, right? Your sport is always going to be number one. So then you fit in your sessions around it. Just because I'm strength training 3 times a week doesn't mean you're going to be able to strength train 3 times a week. You might be able to strength train 4 or 5 or once. So I think it's looking at your goals, what you want to achieve, because for a lot of people, if you're doing your sport maybe 4 or 5 times a week, which I do speak to a lot of people that do pole like 4 times a week, and not making any progress, and they're going to the gym like once or twice. You have to weigh all of that up. But you have to look at your core and what's the most important to you. So for you, like BJJ, your training is structured around BJJ, right? My training is structured around pole, and then fitting in your sessions around that, along with like making sure you've got enough time to recover. Like my sessions are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, then my big training sessions on Saturday. So I've got days in between where I can sort of dial it up or dial it down. You're the same, right? You're in your gym. You're in the gym Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, jiu-jitsu, Tuesday, Thursday,
Friday,
and Friday. Yeah. So but even like your Friday, right? Like you've got that extra half an hour where you might get rolls in. But if you're a bit sore or tired, like you can dial it in or dial it up. So yeah, I think building your session around your primary, whatever that looks like, and making sure that you've got enough rest in between.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That being said, interestingly enough, over the past 6 months or so, so when I say I train for jiu-jitsu, I train so I can do jiu-jitsu more so than for
Unlike me.
for performance on the mats. I used to train just purely for performance on the mats, but now I train to be in a position where I can do jiu-jitsu more, so I can do it without hurting myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm training things that are going to transfer into performance-related outcomes, but I'm in a phase of my life now where I'm creeping towards 40, and so the gym is now about maintaining and even still improving on my general overall fitness and wellness. It just so happens that jiu-jitsu training mirrors kind of like longevity training, hinging, heavy lifting. They happen to just cross over really nicely. Grip strength, they sort of interlink. But the big thing that I would say is it really depends how seriously you're taking your sport. A couple of times a week in the gym to supplement is great, but I don't want to talk shit on anybody here, but I saw a post a little while ago from a coach who was kind of talking shit on kettlebell training, and basically saying, if you're training jiu-jitsu, you shouldn't be training kettlebells because blah, blah, blah. And fundamentally, actually, what he was saying in his post was right. What this guy failed to understand was that these are jiu-jitsu hobbyists and full-time professionals, employees. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the kettlebell training was so they could fit a 20-minute, half an hour workout in between kids and work. They also happen to do jiu-jitsu. So, it's finding that balance. But yeah,
And that's the thing with people that do my kettlebell training as well. The chances are that they are training at home. They're just
yeah,
they're just doing it like in between work and going to the studio on
yeah,
days where they're not in the studio, don't really want to go to the gym. Like, how can they get in a session? So it's all relevant, isn't it? But yeah, that's you work around your primary. But what I will say on that, because I do have people that train pole 4 or 5 times a week and then aren't making any progress. I'm talking from complete experience. They're talking maybe 6 years ago now, 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer. It was a point where I was like, I wasn't making any progress really, and I wanted to get stronger. And in order for me to do that, I had to drop a session at the studio and substitute it with training. Hence the outcome one of the reasons why where I am now. You know, on a Wednesday, by the way, like I choose to go to the gym. I could go to the studio and train something outside of, you know, teaching, but I need to do something else. I need to make sure I get that balance in.
yeah.
So you also need to take a look at your current schedule a lot, again, in line with your goals, you know, and work out what is going to get you to the end result. So yeah, I think I think
Agreed.
that's a nice amount of questions.
I agree. I'd like to just add one final thing, because a lot of these questions have been training specific, but it comes as a trifecta, really. The stuff you do in the gym or on the football pitch, or, you know, your exercise, obviously we understand the value of why that's important. But kind of like you were saying about taking stuff out in order to make progress, your training means absolutely fuck all if you are not eating properly and fueling your body,
You
and
can't out-train a bad diet.
you can't out-train a bad diet,
You can't.
and resting properly. You know, it's you can't out-train, you know, bad sleep either, really. You need to make sure that you're giving your body the opportunity to recover and repair, and you're not burning out, because that's the two big things that I see, the two big mistakes that I see all the time when people aren't making progress in their fitness journey. They're not resting hard enough, and they're not eating well enough. So yeah,
There we have it. So some questions asked by you guys specifically. So thank you so much. They were really good questions. Hopefully
sorry.
we've provided you with the answers that you were looking for and given you some guidance and support. Join us next week for, we haven't decided the topic yet, but
TBC.
we will be back for another episode. But as always, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like us to cover, drop either one of us a DM.
Peace.
Peace.